The red and black zones are the full loot PvP areas of Albion. If you die in these zones, you lose everything you have on you. However, because of the increased risk, these zones carry considerably higher rewards than the safe zones, making it advisable to play in them as soon as you can. In this video, I'll be exploring the red and black zones and looking at how you can stay safe in them. I'll start with some specifics to the different colors of zones, and then go into some more general advice and tips to stay safe in both of them. Red zones are found in the center of the Royal Continent around the city of Caerleon. PvPing in these zones is possible, however players must first hard flag, setting their status as hostile before attacking other players. One can hard flag by clicking the icon next to their health bar at the top left corner, and after a long channel time, they will become hostile. This turns their health bar red for other players to indicate the hostile status, and allows them to attack or be attacked by any other player. As a non-hostile player, the most important thing to help you keep safe in the red zones is the hostile counter found at the bottom right of the screen by your minimap. This counter shows how many hostile players are currently in the zone. So in order to stay safe in the red zone, make sure you are constantly checking that hostile counter for how many reds are in the zone, and if you ever see someone with a red health bar, make sure to stay very far away from them. Black zones are found in their own unique Outlands continent. Unlike the red zones, in the black zone any player can attack any other player at any time with no penalty. There is no need to hard flag to set a hostile status, and there is no hostile counter. In order to get to the black zone, one must first enter a portal city, which can be accessed through the giant glowing portal at the north of a royal city, which is called a realm gate, or find a connection through an Avalonian road. When it comes to staying safe in the black zones, the number one thing to do is to make sure you take the invisibility shrine whenever you are going out. The zones right outside of the portal cities are extremely dangerous, and so you usually want to take the Invis Shrine and travel 2 or 3 zones out to do whatever activity you are doing, and then journey back if possible. Really, the biggest thing to staying safe is to make sure you are avoiding those zones right outside of the portal city as much as possible, and the easiest way to do this is to use the Invis every single time you're leaving the portal city. Okay, now that we know the basics of red and black zones, let's go over a bunch of tips and tricks to help you stay safe and not die on all of your trips out into these dangerous zones. First and foremost, the number one rule in full loot PvP zones in Albion is to never take anything out that you are not willing to lose. You will die in these zones. Maybe not right away, but eventually you will definitely die. I still die in these zones even after thousands of hours in the game. So if you can't afford to replace your gear set, spend some more time building up your wealth in the safe zones first. If you have a set that you're willing to lose, one of the most important things to staying safe is simply respecting red players. There are a lot of other players out in the black zone, and not all of them are going to want to kill you, but you kind of have to assume they do. For example, let's say you're killing mobs out in the open world and you see a guy at the edge of your screen who disappears soon after. You should assume that he is coming to try and kill you. Even if that person is just a gatherer who won't care about you, it's best to assume he's going to want to kill you, and so you should probably move spots and try to lose him. Really, in these dangerous zones, if anybody is interested in you, hanging around on your screen, or really anywhere near you, they probably want to kill you or are scouting for others who want to kill you. So try to avoid other people as much as possible. Before we get into the next tip, did you know that there's only one person that watches my videos that isn't subscribed? So if that's you, you want to help me out and hit that subscribe button? Thanks. Another thing that helps with this and helps to keep you safe is inspecting everybody that you see. The default inspect key is Y, and it allows you to quickly see what items people are wearing. This can give you an idea of how threatening that person is for you. Now, early on as you start the game, identifying items may be a bit challenging, but you should still get into the habit of inspecting everyone to help you learn items and just to get used to inspecting all the time. The most dangerous people that are going to be the ones that kill you the most are gankers. Gankers use a variety of different gear, but there are some dead giveaways. For weapons, claws are almost exclusively used by gankers, and other common ones include things like double-bladed staves, grail seekers, and whispering bows. Chest pieces can also be a dead giveaway. Specifically, Graveguard armor is only used for gankers, and fiend robes are almost always gankers. If you see somebody with a combination of one of these weapons and one of these chest pieces, they are almost certainly a ganker and they are going to try to kill you. When you come across gankers, there's a lot that goes into escaping, but the best thing to do is simply turn around and go back to where you came from and try to find a safe spot like an Avalonian road or town as soon as possible. That brings us to the next tip. Always keep your eyes ahead of you and watch for dismounted players. If you are being chased by a gank group, they will set up people ahead of you dismounted to try to cut you off and catch you. Sometimes they even don't bother stalking you and trying to dismount you by cutting you off, but instead just set up on a common path and go invisible or run at you as soon as you show on their screen. Because of this, you need to make sure you're always looking ahead of you where you are running and watch out for dismounted players. A player who is dismounted is extremely dangerous. They can close a screen distance and dismount you in an instant. So whenever you see a red health bar that is not accompanied by a mount health bar, turn around immediately and avoid them at all costs. Another really important thing is that if you are doing some activity out in the open world, like killing mobs or gathering resources, make sure you always have your mount close by so you can mount up in an instant. Getting caught off your mount is kind of like getting caught with your pants down. You want to avoid it at all costs. If you are ever killing a mob and accidentally go outside that ring and lose it, the safe thing to do is to go reset the mob and remount before trying the mob again. If you're gathering, reset back onto your mount after every resource gathered. If a player comes along and you don't have your mount ready, they can simply dismount next to you and you likely won't be able to get back on your mount before they attack you. Not being on your mount or having it readily available really does leave you in an extremely vulnerable position, so make sure to always have that mount next to you and be ready to mount up if you see a red. Speaking of mounts, taking an appropriate mount with you can have a big impact on how safe you are. A really slow but tanky mount like an ox is not a good mount to use in full loot zones. Ganking parties will have a lot of players all on very fast mounts, so no matter how tanky your mount is, you will eventually be dismounted and killed by them. A slow mount has basically no way to get away if you are not right beside a safe mount. Because of this, if you want to go in a full loot zone, prioritize mount speed over tankiness. If you need the carry weight, like you're gathering for example, a stag can be a great option. Really, in full loot zones, speed is the most important stat on a mount, so when picking a mount, I would recommend focusing on it. Since speed is so important for dodging gankers and getting away from other players, getting used to dodging mobs and going off-road can be the difference between life and death. The fastest path from point A to B is rarely following the road in Albion, and moving on the fastest path is quite important, both for running from gankers and reducing the time you spend running around these dangerous zones. So getting used to finding that shortest path and taking it without losing your gallop to mobs, or getting dismounted by them, can be a very important part of staying safe. Now, this is harder than it may originally seem, as different mobs have different aggro ranges and can attack you from different distances, so you're going to want to practice constantly. Whenever you're out in the open world, blue zone, yellow zone, black zone, it doesn't matter. Practice moving in the shortest path possible and dodging the mobs along the way. It may seem sort of small and insignificant, but trust me, if you get good at this, it is incredibly impactful. I can't tell you how many times good pathing has saved me or allowed me to kill other players. So whenever you're out, practice pathing around mobs until you master it. Okay, and those are the most important things to know in order to stay safe in the full loot zones of Albion. I hope this video helped you out and hope you enjoyed it. If it did, subscribe to see more videos like this and do all the stuff you do to YouTube videos. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.